Hey everyone, we're going to get started here in a couple minutes.
Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, William.
How are you today? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you.
We have
Figured
any,
we get 1, 2 more minutes and then we'll go ahead and get started.
we have anyone waiting?
No one in a waiting room. I think I'm going to check the sign up list, see if we're expecting anyone else, and we'll start right after that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the people who signed up are here. And so we'll go ahead and get started here. First off, can everyone see, or Will, is my screen showing okay?
It is.
Wonderful. So this is our webinar for the Professional Development Coordination RFP for the Children's Services Division in the Department of Family and Support Services. This RFP released last week, pretty much just a week ago, last Thursday, and then is due October 12th. We go ahead and for these webinars, we keep everyone muted, but you are encouraged to submit questions through the Q&A section of the chat. We're going to get to those questions after we finish going through these slides with basic information. And those questions that are asked, we are going to answer them, or if the program manager would like a little extra time to make sure they're saying the right information, we will include that question in the amendment afterwards. So 2 ways in which those questions are going to be answered. This is being recorded. It's going to be posted to the DFSS YouTube channel, and the PowerPoint slides as well will be posted at the link you see there under the Alerts and Funding Opportunities tab. I'm going to get you real quick through the agenda before I turn it over to our program manager, William. My name is Eric Schell. I'm Director of Strategic Planning and Impact here at DFSS, and we'll be helping shepherd through here. William will do his introduction here when I turn it on over to him, but just again, for those who are here watching today, this is the Professional Development Training Coordination and Event Planning RFP. That's RFP 9338 in the e-procurement system. William, go ahead and turn it over to you for introductions, and then we'll get you started on the content.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. Good morning, everyone. William Hill. I'm the Assistant Director for our Children's Services Division, the Program Development and Quality Unit, in which we oversee all professional development across our subrecipients and our programs that we work with, our CBOs or community-based organizations. And the purpose of this RFP, again, as Eric mentioned, this is our Professional Development and Coordination RFP. And so this request for proposal, or RFP, seeks an entity to provide subject matter expertise, event coordination, training, and technical assistance, or what I will refer to moving forward as TNTA, to the Department of Family Support Services, or DFSS, our Children's Services Division, or CSD, and the Chicago Early Learning Programs, CEL, direct service providers, in subjects related to professional development, training coordination, and event planning as a support service provider. DFSS CSD seeks to contract one entity that can provide coordination of services to all Chicago Early Learning or SELS direct service delegate agencies, and the DFSS CSD and subjects related to all professional development, training coordination, and event planning. As background, as the City of Chicago's primary social services funder and administrator, the Department of Family and Support Services, or DFSS, manages a comprehensive, client-oriented human service delivery system that employs a holistic approach to improving the quality of life of our most vulnerable residents. DFSS administers resources and provides assistance and support to a network of over 350 community-based organizations, or CBOs. And within that, our mission is working with community partners. We connect Chicago residents and families to resources that build stability, support their well-being, and empower them to thrive. DFSS's priorities are to deliver and support high-quality, innovative, and comprehensive services that empower clients to thrive, collaborate with community partners, sister agencies, and public officials on programs and policies that improve Chicagoans' lives and advance systemic change. We also inform the public of resources available to them through DFSS and its community partners. And we are also stewards. Stewards of DFSS's resources is responsible. Being stewards is us being responsible and effective in the use of our funds. Our goals around this RFP, our goals as CSD is to deliver comprehensive PD, or professional development opportunities inclusive of training, conferences, and career fairs to direct service delegate agencies across our Chicago Early Learning professionals, parents of children enrolled in Chicago Early Learning or SELS programs, and professionals indirectly servicing children, families, and professionals within DFSS CSD. CSD will provide a comprehensive SELS quarterly professional development calendar to all CEL professionals, the Citywide Parent Policy Council, or CPPC, and partners to inform the community of opportunities that are available each quarter in effort to help each attendee enhance their knowledge on each topic and to assist each professional in obtaining the annual required trainings, which can be found on our program rationale and context section of this RFP. DFSS CSD will ensure that all PD opportunities are successful and intentionally planned for and executed so that participants enhance their skills, performance, and knowledge related to caring for children in our early childhood educational settings and strengthening family engagement, which collectively promote our overall goal of school readiness. DFSS CSD will provide these services through collaboration with SELS support services providers, DFSS CSD, and approved partners, and will ensure to align all practices in adherence to the DFSS CSD Gateway authorized entity. Now we'll review some current state and priorities for improvement. Each year, DFSS CSD, we host on average 100 training sessions, typically 6 single or multi-day conferences and 2 career fairs, and support members of our CPPC in attending 7 predetermined conferences. As such, the PD, training coordination, and event planning support service provider, and their team must be able to manage all of the PD opportunities that are offered citywide. Under this request for proposal, DFSS CSD seeks a PD training coordination and event planning support service provider and a team to be responsible for supporting SELS direct service, delegate agencies, and DFSS CSD in achieving the following priorities. And those priorities are coordination of content development, logistics for on-site facilitation and or distant learning or virtual facilitation, tracking attendance, data entry, and reporting of each training, conference, and career fair. Provisions of the cadence of PD opportunities to nearly 8,000 Chicago Early Learning professionals annually, ensuring training is based on adult learning theory principles and topics that reflect the SELS 2.0 content areas, including collaborative governance, program management, data management, program structure, eligibility, recruitment, selection, enrollment and attendance, or CI, education and child development, services for children with disabilities, health program services, nutrition, safety practices, family and community engagement, transportation, and offer a breadth of opportunities that afford Chicago learning professionals that afford Chicago learning professionals the opportunity to ensure they meet the PD training hour requirements for their programs. Successful collaboration to effectively leverage subject matter experts or SMEs within DFSS CSD support service providers. Illinois Training Network and other professionals trainings to develop content and deliver trainings, and to leverage PD materials, venues, and marketing efforts. The fourth goal is to coordinate with DFSS CSD, CPPC liaisons to reserve registration, travel accommodations, and logistics for our CPPC. Across a membership of 4 years, CPPC members will be selected to attend one of the 7 opportunities for conferences, for a total of 28 members to participate in the events per annum. Conferences typically include our Sales Parent Conference, National Head Start, NHSA. It's an annual spring conference. We have an annual parent conference that's typically happening around the winter. The National Black Child Development Association or Institute, the National Association for Education for Young Children, which is our NAEYC, NAEYC conference, Illinois Head Start Association, and Head Start Region 5. Our target population, the PD, training coordination, and event planning support service provider and team must ensure that training and PD opportunities are provided to relevant sales direct service provider, service agencies, the CPPC, and DFSS CSD staff, all of which directly or indirectly work to support children and families of low socioeconomic status. SMEs, or subject matter experts, will be utilized through our sales support service contracts by the PD, training coordination, and event planning support service provider to develop content for PD opportunities that meet best practices for servicing Chicago learning professionals and our CPPC members. It should be noted that the PD, training coordination, and event planning support service provider will not deal directly with the target population, but rather will provide training and event coordination to leadership and staff of Chicago learning programs, providing direct service as well as DFSS CSD professionals who oversee and monitor our Chicago early learning programs. Program requirements. The PD, training coordination, and event planning support service provider will be required to support DFSS CSD in the development, maintenance, and management of comprehensive PD, training coordination, and event planning. PD opportunities consist of training, conferences, and career fairs. Each year, CSD hosts on average 100 training sessions, typically 6 single or multi-day conferences, and 2 career fairs. Each PD opportunity enhances participant knowledge of all Chicago Learning Program standards, requirements, and guidelines as listed under the support service provider goals in the section of this RFP. Support service provider goals of this section of the RFP. Programs requirements continued. Successful respondents must, 1, secure a skilled PD coordination and planning team inclusive of a project manager, event coordinator, data specialist, and a facilitation specialist at minimum to effectively manage all PD opportunities year-round. They must also have the ability to leverage additional staff as needed to support the on-site management, facilitation, and registration needs of multi-day conferences. We also seek for respondents to have direct experiences using the Gateway Authorized Entity Portal. This requires the completion of data entry webinars, the demonstration of the ability to abide by the protocol for entering data, and the assignment of data specialists or related positions for the Gateway Authorized Entity Portal. If Gateway's Authorized Entity experience is absent, the following experience is required. 1, reconciling registration and attendance information, facilitating or moderating PD single session trainings and multi-day conferences, working to lift in-person PD opportunities to distinct learning formats through virtual platforms, and managing PD events, evaluations, and certifications of participants and trainers. We also seek for respondents to demonstrate excellent communication organization, and collaboration skills to ensure leveraging of SMEs or subject matter experts, other professional trainers, PD materials, and venues. We also seek prior to conducting any additional consulting services, the selected respondent is required to provide a detailed formal quote. Written approval by the commissioner or her designee must be provided in advance of any services being provided. For all other services, only the approved unit provided in advance of any service being provided. For all other service, only the approved unit rates included in the RFP cost proposal are accepted during the contract term. I'll repeat that. For all other services outside of what our respondents are commissioned to do within contract, must use the rates included in the RFP cost proposal are accepted during the contract term. Please see the chart on the next page for examples of allowable and non-allowable costs for the PD, training coordination, and event planning support service providers. Respondents must also exhibit professional knowledge of structuring and implementing effective career fairs, aimed to promote the recruitment of potential candidates to grow the workforce of early childhood education and family support services. We also seek that respondents have the expertise in transitioning in-person training to virtual formats, known as distant learning, and have the ability to host trainers in recording and delivering their distant learning training or cohorts while providing technical support to attendees. We may advance. DFSS seek respondents with evidence of strong past performance against desired outcome goals. And those performance indicators include enhanced skills, performance, and knowledge of all participants as demonstrated through evaluations, CSD monitoring, and child and family outcome reports. We also look for performance indicators to respond directly to our quarterly PD calendar is established and maintained for each program quarter using the timeframes of quarterly, meaning every 3 months of the program year, beginning from January through December. PDR opportunities are posted, tracked, reconciled, and reported on appropriately according to DFSS CSD Gateway's entity expectations. And 4, successful enrollment and attendance of events, meeting minimum participant capacity standards. Collaboration is with appropriate partners and meets DFSS CSD Gateway's entity expectations. Program goals and outcomes continue. To monitor and recognize intermediate progress towards the above performance indicators, DFSS intends to track the output metrics that may include, but are not limited to, a minimum of at least 100 trainings, at least 2 conferences, and 2 career fairs is met per annum. 100% of sales professionals who met annual 15 required training hours each year in areas that are relevant to their specified positions, responsibilities. Trainings include, but are not limited to, food handlers and food managers, mandated reporters, SIS, shaking babies, and OSHA. And again, not limited to, because we also have trainings as it relates to curriculum, as it relates to positive interactions, as it relates to active supervision. So again, the minimum required for each of our professionals is 15 hours per year. We also seek some of our performance goals and outcomes is that 85% of our trainers and participants express satisfaction with each opportunity through their evaluations at every conference, training, and workshop. So that's saying that based on the completion of each training and workshop or conference, that our evaluations, we do tally and we do seek that each of our participants have reported satisfaction in that the content that they received will be relevant to the work that they do, and they go back and apply that to their prospective classroom sites and fields and work positions. Also, we look for the number of CPPC members, that's our Parent Policy Council, to engage in opportunities as demonstrated through registration. Also, the number of CPPC members and parents at large to engage in opportunities as demonstrated through registration. So again, we have CPPC, that's our Parent Policy Council, But again, we look to engage all parents who are part of our Chicago Learning programs, and we have training opportunities and resources for them as well. In addition to the performance indicators and output metrics listed above, DFSS encourages respondents to propose additional indicators and metrics, including those that demonstrate early success and are indicative of participants' progress. Selection criteria. The respondent, and so these are the criteria in which we look for the strength of your proposed program based on your response. The respondent clearly defines services to be provided directly or through partnerships, linkage agreements with other agencies that are appropriate to addressing the needs of and achieving desired outcomes for the target population. The respondent's proposed program is supported by a strong national or local evidence-based and or aligns with best practices for the relevant field. The respondent has an effective approach to identifying and retaining program participants, including rules and regulations that reduce barriers to participations, such as bilingual opportunities, multi-language, in-person versus virtual. The respondent has partnerships or coordinates with other agencies to expand or improve services in a client-centered, comprehensive way. And lastly, the respondent illustrates the agency's approach in facilitating in-person and moderating distant learning formats. We also see that the respondent demonstrates evidence of strong past performance against desired outcome goals and performance metrics and or other notable accomplishments in providing services to the target population. We also see that the respondent has experience using data to inform and improve its services or practices. The respondent has the relevant systems and processes needed to collect and store key participant and performance data. Selection criteria as it relates to organizational capacity. DFSS seeks respondents that demonstrate that the respondent has qualified staff responsible for program oversight and management. We also see that the respondent has adequate systems and processes to support monitoring program expenditures and fiscal controls. We also seek a respondent that has adequate human resources capacity to hire and manage their staff. Selection criteria as it relates to reasonable cost, budget justification, and leverage of funds. DFSS seeks respondents that demonstrate that the respondent has fiscal capacity to implement the proposed program, that the respondent leverages other funds and in-kind contributions to support total program and administrative costs. We also seek that the respondent demonstrates reasonable implementation of costs and funding requests relative to its financial and human resources. Please be sure to attach reports, studies, or the documentation that show performance towards reaching the program goals, demonstrate results and accomplishments. Also, please be sure to attach the resumes for key staff that are overseeing the program. And please be sure to attach your organizational budgets for this program, highlighting please make sure all programs requirements are addressed in that budget. Selection and transition timeline. So this pre-proposal webinar is happening today, September 15th, 2023. All our applications are due for this RFP on October 12th, 2023, noon. And our program period begins December 1, 2023. Budget or cost proposals. The amount of this RFP is for 1 year, $811,802. Please submit a budget for 1 year, 12 months of services for the aforementioned amount, $811,802. Cost category definitions are attached as budget instructions in every RFP, except RFPs that have cost proposals. Be thoughtful and inclusive when developing your budget. Apply your program's actual costs. Also, please note that we cannot give you money we cannot give more money than what you asked for. However, we can give you less. But again, this RFP is slated for $811,802. So please, that is the cap. Use reasonable cost questions on the applications to discuss how you determine the cost reflected in your budget. Some common errors that we just like to kind of, as we're working through these kind of webinars and talking through you as our respondent or potential respondents, some common mistakes we see on budgets are fringes. Please check your calculations as it relates to fringe benefits. Supplies, they are frequently under or over budgeted for. Client assistance, if this is an appropriate and allowable cost, don't forget to include it. Make sure your job description titles and your job description uploads have the same title, so therefore we're able to match them. Also, put a brief description of the job in the budget document itself, if you have not discussed it specifically in your application. Put your budget in the appropriate column and show your match. Again, as mentioned before, applications are due on October 12th, 2023 at 12 o'clock noon.
All right. Well, that is the main portion of the program. I am now going to walk through the logistics of the application itself, as well as the application portal. I am going to go back again, just so that it's super clear, and highlight that noon on October 12th. I know we've said it about 4 times already. Will said it 3, I've said it once, but it throws people off that 12 o'clock is a noon and not a midnight. So I'll just say it one more time. Another thing I'm going to say a couple times in going through this last final portion is these highlights at the top and bottom. Start early and save often. The system is, it can be bulky. It can be a little hard to navigate through. So the more you save, the better you're going to be. I am going to just re-up one more time before I get started on these bullets. You can start putting questions in the Q&A portion of this webinar. And once I'm done going through my little spiel here, I'm going to be going to the Q&A doc to start a question asking. So if you've never done business with the City of Chicago before, do register into iSupplier or eProcurement as soon as possible. Instructions on how to do so are in the RFP itself, a little bit towards the bottom before we get to all the legal section. Review your RFP narrative and application questions very, very closely. We'll just walk through them literally one by one, bullet by bullet, but remember to review them when you're writing. Make sure they're aligning, make sure that your answers are aligning with the scope and selection criteria, and use that information to formulate your answers. We give you that information for a reason, and we're happy that you're using it. Carefully review that selection criteria, make sure you're matching it. And then do note there's a 4,000 character limit on all of your responses. This is hardly ever an issue, but sometimes it is. So just be aware if you're writing this stuff out beforehand, like in a Word doc, 4,000 characters, that does include punctuation and spaces. And this is one of those systems where if you use the back button, it doesn't log you out, but it freaks out a little bit. So don't use the back button on your browser. Just try to navigate forward through the application. You can submit your application and later amend it all the way up to the due date. Again, that is October 12th, and that's at noon. Avoid the rush if possible. It says plan on taking 30 to 60 minutes to submit. Never hurts to double that assumption. Late applications cannot be accepted, will not be accepted. And if you're having trouble with eProcurement, this is the hotline. The number here is 312-744-4357. That's 312-244-HELP. Again, these slides are going to be available to you on that website earlier, and so you can have access to this number if you don't have something to write it down now. And that hotline is open during business hours. And again, I'm going to reiterate: save often, submit early. Provide your articles of incorporation. These are going to be agencies that are new to contracting with the city. You're going to be providing your articles of incorporation and any amended articles. Your IRS affirmation letter. This is for nonprofits only, and those got to be dated within 60 days of your submission. That's the IRS number that you can call if you have any questions or need to obtain that letter. That's 877-829-5500. If you're for profit, you're going to be submitting your original letter from the IRS, including your FEIN number. You're also going to include your DUNS number, your DUNS number. This is where we start getting the acronyms. Also, your central contractor registration. This is a copy of the entity overview page that's available at sam.gov. And then finally, a certificate of good standing with the state of Illinois. Here's our technical assistance information. Again, this is going to be the alerts section of our website. It's going to have most of that information for you. It's where the stuff will be posted as well. Questions about the e-procurement system or technical assistance that you might need. There's that phone number again. You could also call or hit up this email address. That's customersupport@cityofchicago.org. And then there's training materials available at the website below. Here's how you accept an amendment. Once we finish this webinar, we're going to kind of take your questions and then put those questions into an amendment. That amendment will also have any changes to the RFP, if any changes have occurred since we initially posted. You do have to accept that amendment in order to complete your submission. So we're going to talk to you about how to accept it. In this RFP that you're interested in, it's going to be amended. To start your application, you will need to acknowledge and accept that amendment first. To accept the amendment, you're going to click on View Amendment History. You're going to see here, there's a little warning that pops up when that amendment gets uploaded. On this little red circle to the left, you're going to click View Amendment History. If the RFP has not been amended yet, so say you have already started your application, you're going to the Create Quote from the drop-down menu. That's the circle on the right. And then you're going to click Go. That's going to take you to the application page, and you're going to be able to get started. Step 2 here, to begin the acceptance and acknowledgement process, you're opening the RFP. You're going to click on the document number. You'll see on the number 1 red circle to the left here, it's got the document number. You're then going to review any changes to the amendment. That's on the eyeglass icon there in red circle 2. And then by acknowledging the amendment, you're indicating that you're aware of changes made to the RFP and the amendment. It also acknowledges those Q&A questions we're going to go over. You click the big button that says Acknowledge Amendments, red circle 3. When you get to this section, you're going to click on the I accept checkbox and then click Acknowledge. This is just like those forms you fill out online when you're accepting terms or conditions. You check the X there on that red circle to the left, and then you're going to acknowledge on the red circle to the right. You're going to confirm again that you have acknowledged the amendment. And then you're going to confirm again that you have acknowledged the amendment. You're going to click that checkbox there on the left. I've read the accepted terms and conditions. And then you're clicking accept on the upper right. You have to confirm it a couple times. I assure you you're doing it right. Finally, submitting the application itself. When you're ready to submit, start by saving your draft one last time. Again, that first red circle there on the upper right, that says save draft. When we say save often, that's the one you're clicking. You're just saving the draft over and over. It's going to give you a nice green checkbox when it's done. Finally, when you're ready to submit, you're going to save it one more time, then click continue. If you're missing information, you're going to be given an error message on the top left there, and it's typically going to be able to tell you what that error is. So you'll see there it's saying error, RFP control requires you to quote on all lines. What it's then going to do is going to be able to navigate you to that error. So you'll see here it's quote on all lines. So you can just go to the tab that says lines and work your way through it. Let's see here, quote value. Those red circles aren't going to appear, but you'll see, you're in your lines, here's your requirements. Your first name, you didn't fill it out. So that's what it's saying is the issue. Quote value required for first name. That's the error in the upper left. So you go down quote value, you see first name, you see it's blank. Go ahead and fill that out and save your draft. When your application is free from errors, you're going to proceed all the way through to this screen. So you won't get the error message. You're going to get this screen here instead. It's going to show you which RFP you're submitting for with the number. And then you're going to click review and submit. This is the review and submit phase. It's going to show you all the information you just filled out. This is your last chance to confirm that all that stuff is correct. So go ahead and be sure to read through it one last time. Make sure you got your zip code right. Make sure your name, your finance officer, all that information is in there. At the bottom of the screen, you're going to be asked to provide an electronic signature. This is the exact same as all the other electronic signatures you've ever provided. You're clicking a box that says, I'm affirming that this information is correct. You're typing in your name and you're going to type in your title. Then you're submitting. This is going to be your submission confirmation screen. You're going to get a nice green checkbox. It says that your quote, which is your application for the RFP, that's your RFP number. And then it'll give you your title just to be extra sure, has been submitted. You're going to get an email confirmation as well within 24 hours from the system itself. You're also welcome to email or call Will or myself. We're going to be able to check that for you if you're extra certain, if you want to be extra certain that that went through. So we are now entering the questions phase. I'm going to leave this page up, which has Will's contact information as well as myself while we go through these questions. I'm going to go in order of received. One that I already answered, just to make sure everyone sees that there's an RFP number, then there's a specification number. This specification number for this RFP is, in fact, as the question asked, 1266305. You should be able to go to the RFP page and search by that specification number, and you'll be able to find it. All right, clarifying. Thanks for clarifying. The due date is October 12th. Right now, the PDF says October 5th. I'll be sure to fix that and make sure that that's looking good. First question. This is for you, Will. How much should the federal match be?
So our federal match on our federal programs is 33.3% of the contracts.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Next question here. RFP lists this performance metric: deliver a minimum of 100 trainings, 2 conferences, and 2 career fairs per annum. Are these numbers we should use in our budget and staffing plan in the application?
That is correct.
Excellent. Next question here. RFP says that the entity should partner with SMEs, Illinois Trainer Network, and other individuals to develop, facilitate training. Should we include funds in our budgets to pay SMEs?
So that's a great question. And so, yes, we should, because again, so while across our division, we have subject matter experts who we contract with if we're doing trainings around nutrition or trainings around curriculum. I will have those SMEs already, or subject matter experts, that we are building and providing facilitating trainings with. But again, some of our trainings, like our conferences that we do, will need some external SMEs or subject matter experts to come in and talk about, some other things that we want our teachers and either our parents to benefit from. And so that should also be captured in your proposed budget as well. So the answer to that is yes.
Yeah, thanks so much, William. Final question here. Where can applicants access past PD calendars to gain a sense of trainings, conferences, and career fairs offered previously?
So that is actually a question that I would like to kind of put into our FAQs.
Sure.
I just kind of want to check our specific websites and things that we've used in the past to ensure that those calendars are still accessible. For Abigail, if you need to kind of go back and review, kind of have an understanding of what we offered in the past. Eric, if I can go ahead and hold on to that question and offer that in our FAQ or our amendment.
You absolutely can. All right. I see no more questions in the chat as of this moment, so I'll begin wrapping this up. If one pops up, I'll shout it back out. But in the meantime, again, this is our contact information, first for William, then for myself. You feel free to email if you have additionals. And yeah, the amendment should be going up we'd like to get them up within a week. And we'll get this webinar up as well as soon as YouTube allows it. And yeah, that's the last little bit. No additional questions here. Thank you all for coming, and have a great Friday.
Awesome. Thank you all.